Imagine waking up to the news that a luxury estate worth hundreds of millions is being seized, not for tax evasion, not for bankruptcy, but because of unpaid legal judgments. Yes, you heard that right. This isn't a plot twist from a Hollywood movie or a reality TV stunt. This is real life. But here's the part no one is saying out loud. This isn't just about a mansion. This is about the future of civil justice in America. And the next moves in this story, they'll shock you. Stick around because this is about to escalate in ways you didn't expect. So why does this matter? Because what's happening at Mar-a-Lago is part of a pattern, one that goes beyond just this property or even this person. This is the third major judgment with the same exact response every time: delay, deny, avoid paying. And it's not just about the money either. It's about the message this sends. Imagine being in a court, having a jury hear all the evidence, and then nothing happens. No payment, no accountability. And it's been happening over and over. If the system doesn't work when it's tested like this, what does that mean for all of us who depend on it? Here's the kicker. The first judgment was $83 million for defamation. The second one, $35 million for fraud. And now the third, $91 million in another defamation case. That's over $500 million in court-ordered judgments. But instead of paying up, what do we see? Delay, denial, appeals. Now, I know what you're thinking. Can someone really get away with this? And the answer is yes, at least for now. Why? Because we're not talking about just one missed payment. We're talking about a consistent pattern that exposes a bigger issue. Notice what's missing here. No one's paying. No one's following the rules. That's a serious problem for the system. Now, let's talk escalation. This isn't the first time we've seen this type of resistance. In fact, it's becoming more common. We've seen it with other high-profile figures who drag out the process, appealing, stalling, delaying. It's not just a tactic, it's a strategy. And here's the thing. When you delay payments in cases like this, it normalizes a practice that shouldn't be normal. Think about it. If people with resources can avoid the consequences of their actions, what does that say about justice for everyone else? This isn't just a legal fight. It's about whether the system truly works when powerful people are involved. It's time we start asking, how long can this go on? Now let's dive into the real turning point. After multiple judgments and no payments, the plaintiffs are now asking for something more: enforcement. This is where it gets even more revealing. The law is clear. If you refuse to pay a judgment, the next step is asset seizure. But the contradiction is impossible to ignore. The very person who spent years claiming immunity is now faced with the reality of losing everything. And here's the kicker. This is not just about one wealthy individual. It's about the message sent when people refuse to abide by the court's decision. What happens when the wealthy get a free pass to ignore civil law? It's not just a personal issue anymore. It's a failure of the system itself. And the pressure, it's only ramping up. With each failed attempt to resolve the debt, things get messier. Now, the federal marshals are stepping in to take control of Mar-a-Lago. Yes, that property is now officially under scrutiny, just like any other asset in this process. But this isn't an isolated case. You've got multiple cases stacked up, each one escalating in both size and seriousness. And don't forget the pattern of delay, appeal after appeal, pushing everything further down the road. But here's the real question. What happens if this continues? What happens when it's not just about one property, but an entire system that allows the rich and powerful to drag things out forever? We're on the edge of something much bigger. Now, let's take a step back and look at how this affects you. You might be thinking, this is just about one person, one estate, but it's not. What's happening here impacts everyone. If someone breaches a contract with you, defrauds you, or even defames you, and you win in court, that judgment is supposed to mean something. It's supposed to hold people accountable. But if someone can just ignore that judgment, especially if they're wealthy enough to keep dragging the process on, what does that say for regular people who rely on the justice system to make things right? If this becomes the norm, then the civil justice system becomes a farce. And here's the thing. You need that system to work. If you own a small business, if you've been wronged, you need to know that the courts can enforce the decisions they make. If this system breaks down, we all lose. But let's not just stay in outrage. Let's talk about the system itself, because the truth is this isn't just about one person or one estate. It's about how the system works or fails to work for everyone. The leverage here is simple: money and delay. When you have the resources to appeal endlessly, to stretch out the process, the law doesn't have the same weight for the powerful. This isn't about legal loopholes. It's about a system that allows power to override accountability. The issue here is bigger than a defamation case. It's a flaw in how we enforce civil judgments, a loophole that leaves everyday people with no recourse when the powerful choose not to play by the rules. The system can work, but only if we demand it. So what happens next? There are two possible paths forward. Option one, the debts get paid, the system works, and the enforcement stops. But here's where it gets tricky. This has been going on for months with no payment in sight. The second option, the property goes to auction and the judgment is settled that way. But here's the catch. This process takes time and appeals can drag it out even longer. What's clear is that the momentum is building and the next move is already in motion. This isn't just about what happens today. It's about how long this can go on before the system is forced to act. The uncertainty, it's palpable, and with every passing day, the stakes get higher. Now, let me leave you with one final thought. This case isn't just about one property, one person, or even one judgment. It's about what happens when the system we all depend on starts to break down. If we let powerful individuals ignore court orders without consequence, what's left for the rest of us? The truth is, we're seeing a critical moment in the evolution of civil justice. The next few months will reveal whether this system works for everyone or just for the people who can afford to make it fail. So here's the question. Will you be paying attention when the next judgment rolls in? Because this is far from over. If you want to see how this unfolds, step by step, evidence by evidence, subscribe and follow along for the full analysis.